Welcome, our most respectable guests. Welcome to the Witch's Gameboard. We have been waiting for you. Grab a cup of tea, your most delectable cookies, and join us as we discuss the first episode of Umineko no Naku Koro ni, Legend of the Golden Witch. My name is Melody, also known as Mel or Nick. My pronouns are any all, and I'm a 21-year-old musician and composer. I'm a big fan of all things anime, video games, and music. And today, with me here is...
Hi, I'm Reuel. I use they them pronouns. I am very brain rotten about when they cry, and hopefully I can share some of that energy with you here listening.
Awesome. So, welcome to our little podcast. We're pretty much best friends in real life, and we decided to get this little podcast thing on the road because we're both incredibly brain rotten about this little series of games.
Yeah, welcome. This is the first episode. In this episode, we'll be talking about Umineko, episode 1.
So true.
Probably in the later ones, we'll get to other stuff, but we'll see where we go.
Right. You can follow along. This is this podcast will be divided into two parts. One of them is the spoilerless section where we'll go through the episode, talk about our favorite scenes, talk about the characters without relating it to the rest of the novel. And after that, we'll have a spoilerful section, which we will warn you about when it will happen. I will also put up a timestamp on the screen right now if you're watching this on YouTube. But yeah, where we'll basically relate the episode to the rest of the novel, where we'll talk about all the spoilers, and we're gonna have lots of great fun.
Let it be known now, we both have already finished the novel, so this is not a blind playthrough podcast.
Oh yeah,
but we will
not.
definitely keep the first half without any spoilers, so if you're worried about that, don't be. We will definitely communicate it loud and clear when it's time for you to get out of here.
Absolutely. One more thing that I should mention is that we do have a little bit of a spoilers policy specifically for the comments. Considering that this is a podcast that one can follow along with, please keep every single spoiler that is not related to the episode tagged, so as to not accidentally spoil the people who are playing along with the podcast. However, do feel encouraged to leave your comments and messages, any questions or anything else you want to tell us. The rest of the podcast is not necessarily going to be only about When They Cry. For now, we're going to be doing a lot of When They Cry content because it's the easiest to kind of get our podcast off the ground. But later on, we can talk about things like game events or stuff we've been seeing, other games other than When They Cry, and so on and so forth.
Just general stuff we are into at the moment, probably.
Yeah, exactly. So, with all of that out of the way, welcome to the podcast proper. And I think it's important to hit a very, very interesting and I think pretty standard question for this type of podcast is, how did we even get into When They Cry? Well, Reuel?
Yeah, I guess I gotta start because this somehow is the result of my actions. Because I mostly introduced Melody into When They Cry. Well, they'll say in the moment it's not fully true, but I got into When They Cry around 2018 as a friend recommended the Umineko anime to me. And
I'm so sorry.
He has been yeah, it's really just the worst way to start. I heard about Higurashi before, and all I knew going into Umineko was that it's made by the same guy. And Higurashi just didn't seem like my thing back then. So I was like, yeah, I can check this out. And Umineko was good. I would say I really loved it back then, the Umineko anime. But I watched like 7 or like 10 episodes in one sitting. After which I was just tired of it. So I decided to finish it later. So fast forward another 3 years. Another 3 years of me not touching it. One thing I did touch though was the opening. I remember the opening being really good, and from time to time I listened to it.
No, it is incredible.
It is really good. And I remember seeing in the comments like, oh yeah, this opening is really good, but the other openings from the visual novel are way better. So that got me thinking, maybe if this one's so good and the others are even better, I should check it out. So we're almost, as of time of recording, we're almost at the 1 year mark since I started reading Umineko. And my life has not been the same since, let me say. It's had a massive influence. Changed the course of my life, as I think it did with many people. Yeah, and
huge.
After finishing it, I just couldn't shut up about it. And to a special person, Melody over here. How did you get into When They Cry?
Okay. So my story was When They Cry. You know, Reuel over here likes to pretend that they were the ones that got me into the series. No, that did not happen.
That is, I take full credit. I expect royalties.
Back in 2013, actually, while I was still an anime baby, I saw this interesting little anime being discussed online. Specifically, I think I saw a GR Akata review of it. Some of you old heads might know it. And I knew, I found out about this anime called Higurashi no Naku Kuroni. And I decided to watch it because why not? It sounded cool, you know, this edgy show about kids murdering each other. Wild, I know, right?
Just like people killing each other. Psycho.
Right. And I remember I watched the entire first season, and by the time I reached like Tatari Goroshi, my mind completely just switched off and I didn't really pay attention that much anymore. Which is kind of sad, but at the same time, this was the Dean Higurashi anime, and I mean, I finished it. I liked it. I still love the opening to that anime a lot. And I just kind of forgot about When They Cry. Like, I knew about Umineko existing, but I was never that interested in it. It always looked like not really my thing. I was never really like a classical inspired or like Victorian inspired aesthetic. I guess it was never my thing. Until very recently, when Reuel here really got into Umineko one day, and they just kept talking about it, and I was like, oh, you know, cool, and they talked to me about it, and I was like, yeah, maybe I should get into it someday. Yeah, sure. And soon after that, and around
it took me months of convincing. We eventually decided, like, hey, let's...
Yeah.
Like, you said, like, oh, Umineko seems too big. We should check out Higurashi.
Yeah,
I was like, Higurashi anime.
Yeah, I was like, hey, let's watch the Higurashi anime together. And we watched Onikakushi. And then like, we just decided, hey, at this point, why not just start reading the VN, right? Mm-hmm. And that was my plunge. I read Onikakushi and I was like, wait, this is way better than the anime. Like, this is kind of incredible. Mm-hmm. And I read the rest of Higurashi, and after that I just immediately, like, it just clicked for me, and we started episode 1 with Reuel at their place, and I've basically finished it there.
Yeah, and ever since we read the entirety of episode 1, Umineko episode 1.
In 3 days?
3 days, yeah. Just sitting next to each other.
I think it was pretty base though. But yeah, ever since then, complete brain rot. Cannot think of anything else really. Oh, that's not true, but still. I finished Umineko pretty recently. I guess like maybe 2 weeks ago or so. But now that it's gone, honestly, I feel a massive hole in my heart. So I will be reading Sukonia very soon.
As you should, as one should.
Yeah, as one should, you know. A One Day Cry fan always has something to fucking read.
Until they don't, and then they just feel the emptiness.
And then I will feel the absolute emptiness coming from the One Day Cry brain rot hole.
Yeah, the When They Cry shaped hole in your heart.
The Rikishio 7 shaped hole.
So true. One thing that brought to mind, like, what's up with bad anime adaptations with really good openings? What is up with that?
Actually.
Both Umineko and Higurashi had that.
What's the deal with bad anime but good anime openings?
Yeah. Well, whenever Seconia anime happens, is it also gonna have that? I hope not. I hope it's good. If it ever happens.
I mean, I hope the opening is good, but I also hope the anime is good, you know? Like, I mean, do you think Seconia will ever get an anime? It doesn't seem like it's as, like, I don't think it's popping off as much as Higurashi or Umineko.
Okay, but give it 10 years, okay? It will be big.
The cult classic. It's gonna have a little The World Ends With You situation.
Exactly.
We're gonna have a Seconia 2 in an anime.
What are we gonna get first? Seconia 2 or Phase 2 of Seconia 1?
What the fuck do you mean? Do you mean like Rikishi will just start a new One Day Cry?
Yeah, by now he's just gonna start a new one.
Oh man.
I mean, anything is gonna happen faster than Phase 2 by this point.
See, we're really dating ourselves. Imagine if like Rikishi comes out tomorrow and goes, you know what?
Good.
Phase 2.
We should do that. So we should, like, you know, prompt him. He's gonna listen to this and be like, huh, you fuckers, I'll reveal Phase 2 now. And he doesn't know that this is all part of our genius plan to have him release it early.
Then why are you telling him? Rikishio 7, if you're listening now.
Yeah, he heard that and he's like, well, now I'm not gonna release it.
So true. Let's move on to actually talking about Legend of the Golden Witch. So, to preface this, from now on, we're going to be talking about the entirety of episode 1 and its tea parties. So, if you haven't read it, please go and do. This series is amazing. And Legend of the Golden Witch is a very solid introduction to Umineko. So, I really suggest that you read it before you listen to this little podcast.
Yeah, we will not be summarizing the story. We might summarize some scenes when we want to get into this, but this is not a replacement. You cannot just listen to this without having read it before, because you will not understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So,
episode 1.
Yeah, episode 1. My God, what a hecking good introduction, honestly, to the rest of the series. Even though it's like
it's very slow at times, but
yeah, it's
like
very slow.
Eventually, it takes a long time to like.
Yeah, like half the episode
to wind up, but like eventually it's swinging. It gets really good.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I'm of that opinion that every single like slow scene in every One Day Cry game matters, because it always like for me it always sets. It always
it always has a purpose, but
yeah,
that doesn't mean that it's always enjoyable. Yeah.
No, definitely. I think a lot of people have this criticism of Rikishi that his writings are very rambly and they repeat themselves a lot. And that is definitely visible in the character dialogue. You see them constantly repeating each other. Yes, I agree with this statement.
Yeah, so certain themes are constantly... Themes and just things, or phrases even, just repeated.
Yeah, they really hammer them into you.
In this episode, it's all about the like 19th person on the island. Like there must be another person. Oh, it couldn't be another person. Oh, but it must be another person. They just say that over and over.
Little do they know, it was all done with Beatrice's magic.
Little do they know.
Yeah, real.
Only Maria knew.
Yeah, only Maria knew. Maria is the smartest character.
The smartest character in all of Umineko. Reuel.
I think she's based.
It's autism child, yeah. She's...
I think everyone else is just lacking love, to be honest.
Exactly. But yeah, we start off with the very first scene, which I want to talk about because it's a really good setup. The Kinzo scene at the very beginning, where he's told that he only has 3 months left, and we see his whole Beatrice spiel.
That is such an iconic scene.
Yeah.
Like, even before I got into Umineko, I kind of knew about the yelling guy that goes, "Oh, Beatrice."
Beatrice.
Although, granted, the most exposure I've had to Umineko before actually getting to Umineko is that video, like that really old ass meme of Kinzo's
ending.
face. Yeah, of the ending.
Desire memes.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
Yeah, so I definitely knew about Kinzo existing, but didn't know much about him. But yeah, that's oh my god, what an intro scene, and how it sets the rest of the visual novel up. How it like really it introduces this kind of intrigue around
it sets the tone.
Beato as a character.
It sets the tone for the whole episode.
Definitely. I like how it creates this surrounding mystique around Beatrice as a character, considering that we do not see her until the very end of the episode. But she's constantly in our minds because the visual novel keeps reminding you that there is this witch and something is going on with her.
I want to say that, like, oh, she's not there for episode 1, but that is just not true because she's such a important part of everything that is happening, and like most conversations in episode 1 are about her.
Yeah, she's like a hovering.
So she's
presence.
a character in there, but she doesn't like appear in the flesh until the very end.
Yeah, her presence is very important. The fact that she is supposedly on the island, right? That's like huge. Which I think is really cool. I always like the atmosphere that is built, especially in the second part of the episode. As soon as the letter hits, that's why I can love that scene, which we will talk about a little bit later. But how about, is this it for the intro cutscene? Like, do you have anything else?
We should talk about the characters we have there. We got, of course, the man himself, Kinzo.
Kinzo. Funny little grandpa man. He yells.
Dying. Yelling. Old men only know 3 things: dying, yelling, and simping.
Oh yeah, no, Kinzo is the simp of this little video game. And you know what? This is something I can guarantee. By the end of episode 8, you will also be simping.
Oh, yeah, that's inevitable. I am certain that will be the case.
Oh, I am certain as well. We also see a cool little character called Genji.
Of course, Nanjo, the best character.
Nanjo as well, but let me talk about Genji,
Yeah,
please.
I wanted to talk about the true culprit, the one who killed them all, really? Nanjo. Yeah, he drugged them, and like everything in episode 1 didn't happen. Actually, it was
it's always the doctor, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Move
aside. Dream theory.
Move aside. It's always the butler. Battler. Funny.
Battler. All right.
That's how it always be the doctor. Yeah.
We didn't get to him yet. But Genji, he's the Shirimiya servant butler type guy. He's cool. Honestly, when I saw him first, I was really intrigued. He has a really cool aura about him, I guess. Really mysterious, and I like how
making concoctions for Kinzo.
Yeah, I like that image. Like, I like that mental image a lot. Like, he's brewing, you know.
What was he cooking?
What was he cooking? What was it? Apparently it's some, like, from what I remember, it's like green.
Yeah, it's absinthe, I think.
I see. That's wild.
And like the way they describe it is like the real thing. Like you pour it over a sugar cube. But yeah, why is it green? I don't know. But it really adds to the like magical feeling.
Slime.
No, yeah. Keen's are getting slimed at the Nickelodeon Awards.
No, Keenzo just likes drinking Nickelodeon slime. All right.
No, no wonder he starts seeing witches after that.
Oh yeah, Genji.
But yeah, I wanted to say like the fact that it's green adds to this like. Just they talking about a witch, and he's preparing this like clearly just alcohol, but it's green, so it has the air of like a potion being made.
Yeah. He's making liquid weed, Your Honor.
Keenzo would never.
Keenzo would never. You think?
I think crack cocaine addict, if anything.
I see. Because I was like, for a second.
Him.
Yeah, for a second I thought that like, oh, he could use weed as like a sacred ritual or something for like a summoning, like
a magical herb.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna make edibles, but in his massive cauldron that he obviously has.
Yeah.
Because we've neglected to mention this. Well, I mean, if you read the episode, you'd know. Keenzo is a massive occult fanatic, so I can just imagine him having like a big room that just like that is styled after like those old Western like witch houses. It just has like a cauldron.
We see his room. We have like the background CGs, and I really like it with chessboard tiles with the knights' armors.
Yeah. No, it's sick. It
and
does
then,
look like a
the
little
bookshelves full of described to be full of like grimoires and stuff.
Yeah, that's so sick. No, honestly, I would love to just take a little tour around Keenzo's room. It looks really sick.
In general, around Rokkenjima.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it looks like a beautiful place.
And like by now, seeing all these backgrounds, I'm basically like accustomed to it. Like I could. If I was put in real life Rokkenjima, I could find my way around just from the backgrounds that we have.
The 120-hour Umineko brain rot.
Yeah. I could navigate the non-existent Rokkenjima.
Right. Nanjo is cool.
That's just cool. He gets a couple moments in this episode, but like it's just. He's the doctor. Like he's here in this mystery novel to confirm people are dead.
Yeah.
His whole purpose is to like find the body, and then like he checks the pulse and says, "Oh yeah, they're dead."
Hey, that's kind of iconic still. Yeah. Shoutouts to him. He's doing good work.
I really like of the scenes that with him. I really like. We'll get to it later, but there is a scene where the adults are arguing, and then he's there, and he's clearly so uncomfortable. He like excuses himself.
Yeah, actually,
he sees them argue, and he's like, "Oh no, I gotta get out of here."
Right. Like I will say that every time I think about like Umineko, I don't immediately think about Nanjo. Mm-hmm. Just because he feels so out of place most of the time, like not in a bad way. I think it's very deliberate because he's not part of the family or not part of like the servant staff. Like he really does feel like a stranger to almost everyone besides like maybe Genji and Keenzo, right?
Yeah, he is playing chess with Keenzo. He is described as an old friend, but yeah, there's no. He doesn't interact much with anyone else.
Yeah. But I kind of like that about him, It's like it really does create a variety in the cast when you just have a stranger, like a complete stranger. And I don't know. I like Nanjo. He's neat.
He's cool.
Well, let's move on to other characters that we have in the cast.
Then we have the opening.
Yeah, I think so. We have our
which depends on which version you played. It's either the original OP or the PS3 opening.
Okay, important question. Which one do you prefer?
I prefer the PS3 one.
Oh yeah, same.
It has a ton of spoilers because they decided to do like, we have all these CGs, we have to use them, every single last one.
I mean, granted, I will say that that with these spoilers, I did not know what they were all about until I saw them.
Yeah, but
Like, besides like a few characters.
They're showing off stuff that I guess we can't talk about now, but we'll talk about in later episodes.
Yeah.
But they show off like magical stuff. And compared to that, the original opening is very down to earth.
Yeah, it's very down to earth.
Just showing off the mansion, the characters, and it focuses more on the dynamics. Like you have some shots of the siblings and Natsuhi and Kingzo. It's very much about that, while the PS3 opening is more about this magical side.
I do think the original PC opening is I think it would be the perfect opening for episode 1, to be honest.
I agree.
Because because you don't have all of these like super magical elements, and it still looks more like a mystery than the magical thing that it later kind of gets.
Is it later?
Off.
Well, it's the whole show is about, is it mystery or is it magic?
Well, yes.
show. The whole
question mark show.
Well, the whole novel is about this specific conflict. But I agree with what you mean. This is very. It just fits the tone of episode 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Way more than later episodes.
But otherwise, I mean, the PS3 opening just bangs. Yeah, we start off the episode after that in an airport where we get introduced to a bunch of characters. Oh yeah, lots of characters. So we're gonna be trying to go through all of them. However, we'll try not to talk as much about them as we did about Kinzo, Genji, and Nanjo. George. He's George. I know he's
very George.
He's very George.
A good description.
I personally am not a super big fan of George. He's just he's a little bit too straight-laced for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
he's just no fun.
He's a bit too straight edge. You can call it mature. I call it boring. Yeah, you know, for his role in the episode, I think he does great. Like during episode 1, I still thought that like, oh, George is cool. George is all right.
He's the Redditor. He's the he's the character whose purpose is to, like, you know, pushes up glasses and goes into a lecture about one thing, like info dumps about one thing to the reader.
Yeah. Or like sometimes he serves as like conflict resolution when the cousins start arguing about something. He's gonna go, well, you know, guys, this is no use arguing about this, and that's a respectable.
I like George later on when, in the later Twilights, like everyone's losing their mind, and he is kind of the anchor, the emotional anchor, or at least trying to be.
Which I think this is definitely like a really good point into George's favor in terms of characterization. Very interesting.
He's well characterized. Like,
yeah,
I don't think he's many people's favorite character, but you cannot deny that he's written really well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is Rikishi we're talking about. Most of these characters are written really well. Okay, Battler. Our protagonist.
Pride and joy.
He's questionable in this episode.
I think this is a leftover from Higurashi.
Yeah.
Where
I think Rikishi really wanted to make another Keiichi.
Yeah, he's very Keiichi in the first episode.
Yeah. Only he forgot that like every single so-called every single girl in this episode is like related to Battler.
Yeah, related, like, or like a 16-year-old or a 9-year-old. No, Mari is also related. But yeah, every single girl is related. The two that aren't is 16-year-old Shannon and like super old Kumasawa. Yeah. So he doesn't even hit on Kumasawa. He does hit on Shannon. She hits on him, remember? She was like,
yeah.
Oh, if you like that, how about mine? And he has the little funny, like, no moment. But
Battler
he's
is 18,
very horny.
Yeah, Battler is 18. But yeah. Battler's really horny, and I feel like in episode 1, it's to his detriment. Like, it's just some of the scenes got really uncomfortable to watch, especially with Maria and Shannon.
Like, yeah, he had a couple like weird comments, and then the whole like almost boob touching scene was just
it went on for too long. It was really weird, and the safe, I mean, it was there, and it's just like, okay, I see what you're trying to do there, Yukishi. Like Battler is not just a horrible pervert. He's just trying to be playful. But at the same time, it's flirting with something that I don't really like. I don't, not huge with the sexual harassment angle at all.
This podcast does not endorse sexual harassment.
So true. We do not endorse episode 1 Battler specifically from the first half of the episode.
Yeah, because later, like, as stuff starts going down, like, he finally sheds that.
Yeah.
And gets really cool. Like, the whole scene where he gets into the discussion between Eva and Natsuhi. The chorus starts playing, and he proposes that Kinzo might have been hiding under the bed.
Oh yeah, that scene was so sick. I think that was the first time I was like, oh wait, Battler is cool.
Yeah, that was his moment.
That was pretty sick. Yeah. Next, Rudolph. What a I fear to say hot piece of ass. He's a garbage man.
He's a bit garbage. Like, I mean, I liked his dynamic, like, with Battler, like, how Battler just does not respect him because of, we get the backstory that he abandoned Battler's mom, or like she like cheated on her, rather. So like Battler has good reasons to hate on him, and I think it's a fun. I like the scene at the beginning where like he's bullying Battler and then Eva is bullying him. Yeah.
It's. I think Rudolph is a really fun character. Like, I don't think he's super deep specifically. Not in this episode, at least. But I always like whenever Rudolph is on screen, I'm not having a bad time. Same with his wife Kiria, actually. Kiria is, I think, a really great character, especially early on. Even though she does get owned in the middle of this episode.
Yeah, she does in the first one line.
I think what she does great is that she specifically kind of introduces the very early strategy.
Yeah, turn around the chessboard.
Exactly, yeah. She introduces the very early strategy of how you can think about this game and how you can move along with it and think with the characters. We'll flip over the chessboard thing. I think it's really cool and makes her really memorable in this first episode, even though she kind of dies in the middle. I still remember that I liked Kiria a lot, especially since she's just like such a positive influence near Battler and stuff. Like, because they're technically like they're not related, and Battler has this whole beef with his dad. They try to keep it
like civil. They have this like way older sibling kind of vibe.
I think it's not even like way older sibling. It's more like maybe like co-workers, I guess. Like that's the type of vibe I get from them. Like either acquaintances or co-workers. Like something that is not as close as friends, but they get along. You know.
No, I think they had like a couple scenes that they were like close. For example, the scene when she taught him, or rather like reminded him of flipping around the chessboard.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah.
After
right,
they found the letter. Kiria is cool.
Now, star of the show, always voiced by Takano, Eva.
Eva Shiromiya. A resident hater. The lesbian with her comfort support husband.
So true. Enemies to lovers.
Exactly. It was great. And she's really good in this episode.
I like Eva a lot. She's always a joy to have on screen.
Yeah.
I like the way she talks. I like the fact that she's like this insane soccer mom, but at the same time she like practices karate. It's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sick.
She has the karate moves.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
She has the little fan that she keeps.
Yeah. No, her design overall is really cool. I like her like what is that she wears? Is that like a Chinese dress?
It's a Chinese dress, yeah. With
it
the
looks really neat.
Tushiramiya eagle all over it.
Yeah. And then she like has these like very baggy pants under them as well.
Yeah.
Very, very cool design. Very memorable too. Again, kind of sad that she just gets owned in the middle of the episode. Granted, that makes for one of the coolest locked rooms in the series.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest too, but we'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Hideyoshi.
He's fun-sized. I want to hug him.
He's my sexual representation, I think.
I see that.
Yeah, he's a cuddly boy.
he has his little like Japanese history trivia.
Oh yeah. He loves his Japanese history. He is Eva's emotional support husband.
Yeah. He has some problems with toxic masculinity, but he seems to be working on them.
I mean, you can't be perfect, and I think Hideyoshi is the type of person that I'd actually be okay with having like for an uncle.
Yeah.
Like he just looks like an alright guy for like a rich person, right?
Yeah. Like out of all these assholes, like he's just one of the only people who's just trying to be nice and trying to de-escalate conflict.
Yeah, specifically out of like the older Shiromiya siblings and their spouses. Yeah, he's like, I feel like he is I feel like he'd be like the easiest to get along with.
Yeah.
Definitely feels that way. Rosa. So we have to talk about Rosa.
I think we will get to it in a later segment. I think there's a lot to talk about here.
So, do we save Rosa for later?
I mean, we save the abuse for later, maybe when we get to that scene. But,
I mean, honestly, without that, she doesn't really have a lot to talk about. I mean, she's
a flop woman. She is like the youngest sibling that everyone picks on.
Mm-hmm. I do think it's funny how in the scene where they talk about getting like the inheritance thing, she is constantly like the shy one. She doesn't really say much. She's kind of scared. She feels out of place. And Kraus immediately cracks.
Yeah, like, exactly. I wanted to say that like that scene is really good, and you can see how Kraus like senses her weakness, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
And he's constantly asking her like, "Oh, are you in on this too? Is this your opinion too, or are you like letting other people decide for you again?" Like very pointedly attacking her for that.
Yeah. In that regard, I really like Rosa, definitely. Again, great written characters. So yeah, and then we have to talk about her daughter Maria.
One of the best. The ghost.
She is incredibly divisive.
The demon child.
It turns out.
I love her.
I like the demon child. I personally love Maria. Like Reuel knows, as soon as I saw Maria, and as soon as she's like this little gremlin demon child who constantly goes, "God, magic is real, Beatrice exists," and I'm like, hell yeah, kid, that's sick.
She's just living her best life, I think. Well, everyone else is freaking out because people are dying, and she's just so happy that people finally start to believe.
She has that devilish smile on.
Yeah. But Maria is really cool. She's surprisingly like knowledgeable about this stuff.
Yeah, I was like, still from this episode, what bothers me, I guess, the most is that she knows Hebrew. Yeah. just like that. Like from what I know, she knows English, I think. And she knows Hebrew, and she's like fucking 6.
Yeah, and she knows like excerpts from the Bible and stuff. She knows her stuff.
Okay, she's not 6, she's like 9, but
She's
still,
9,
that's still an insane set of things to know at 9. I guess it's just like, the hyperfixation hobby.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool. I respect her a lot for it. And I like how, I definitely like how thoughtful she is, definitely, of everyone in her family also. Because you might think that like everyone is dying around her and she kind of just seems unbothered. But she always says that like, oh, all of them went to the Golden Land, which she just interprets as the better place to be.
Yeah, like there's a couple scenes, I don't remember this episode, but there's a scene where she like consoles, I think it was either Jessica or I think that was the next episode. But she's not just apathetic. She is happy she does not seem bothered by the murders, but like she sees people hurting around her.
Mm-hmm.
And she does not like that too, either.
Yeah, definitely. Also, and you also see it in like the fact that she gives Jessica and Battler the little what was it?
The scorpion.
Yeah.
The charm.
Yeah, the charm. Yeah, there you go.
The repels magic.
Yeah, it's
saves
really cute.
Natsuki's life.
Straight up, it does save Natsuki's life.
Yeah, I mean, yes. If not for Mario, Natsuki would be dead, and we wouldn't get her slaying in this episode.
Right. So definitely Maria is really cool. I like her a lot. She's like, that like by the end of this episode, my favorite characters were Shannon and Mario.
Yeah,
I respect them. Let's move on to Jessica.
Jessica's just cool.
Jessica's
really
cool.
Fun to be around.
She gives me Mion vibes every time I think about her.
True. I think they would get along.
Yeah. Like me and Higurashi, very much so. Also a little bit of Marisa Toho, but that's because of a later thing.
That's later.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jessica's just cool. She hates her parents. And,
so true.
And I mean, yes, I also hate rich people. Oh my god, same bestie.
Oh my god, same besties.
Then we have Kumasawa. Kumasawa is not much in this. She's just there. She has those scenes where she's like, oh no, I wish I could do something. And then she just does not do anything.
Yeah, she just does not. Like even when Natsuki's crying after Eva owns her in the inheritance scene, and she's just kind of there like, if only I could do something. Well, you can just console her or something.
Just go up to her and help her. The same with like Shannon bullied by Goda.
You've been like living with these people for so long now. Can't you just like go up and say like, hey, do you want some tea or something? Like at least anything. Like don't just just stand there.
Yeah. But she does have like she's way more interesting later in the episode when she's actually suspected.
Oh yeah.
Of like they say, oh maybe Kumasawa killed Kanan.
For real though, I never for a second suspected Kumasawa. I don't know why. She doesn't strike me as suspicious, to be honest.
Nah, I certainly think that she is suspicious. Like she is the person who found him, and she's the person who last saw him.
Mm-hmm.
And she works for rich people. I think she could.
Real? Wait, real?
Wait.
True.
I think she could, but if she did, that is the question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Every time I look at Kumasawa, I'm like, no way, right?
Yeah, she's just a granny.
Just a granny. Like she always kind of seems way out of her comfort zone in all of this.
She's just there, and she's just making mackerel jokes.
Mackerel jokes and really weird noises. So shout outs to Kumasawa. She's all right. For now, she just hangs out. Goda. God, we have to talk about Goda. God, I hate him. I
think that's the universal. Like, no one likes Goda.
No one likes Goda. I mean, I just dislike the sucking up type. you know.
Yeah,
And he sucks up so much to the Ushiromiya family. It's kind of insane.
I'm not just sucking up. He like shifts the blame off him.
Yeah, not the first thing you ever see of him, but like
Yeah, the second thing. First you meet him, and then later, like when the first thing you hear about him, I guess, is how he basically threw Shannon under the bus.
which is really messed up. And I mean, I guess I'm biased because I was a Shannon stan from like day one, like from second one. I was like, oh, she's cute, Lamau. But
okay, and Goda's not cute to you, huh?
Goda is
Look
not
at his
cute. I'm
butt
sorry.
Chin.
So there are way more attractive men in Umineko than
Real.
Goda.
Real.
Right.
Goda's just kind of there. He dies in the first Twilight. And honestly, not a big loss.
So true. I agree. And I wish he died more in the first Twilights.
So true.
Real. From now on, I'm gonna be counting every time he does not. But
hoping for Goda's brutal death.
So true. Real. No, Goda is like, I just dislike him. And in this episode, I mean, he kind of, it's cool that he cooks. It's cool that he's very passionate about what he's doing. I like his little backstory. It's all right. But I just immediately had my impression of him so soured because of that scene.
I don't know if you know this, but Rikishi has said in an interview that at the beginning, there was supposed to be a plot point of Natsuhi cheating on Kraus with Goda.
No way.
Real. This is real.
What the fuck?
and you can. I think if people have said that you can see that in episode 1. I have not looked for it, but maybe.
That is so
Goda
interesting.
talks a lot about how he's thankful to Natsuhi.
Yeah.
But I don't think she ever acknowledges him. But it's a really cursed thought.
That is a really cursed thought. That is incredibly cursed. I hate that. I really hate that. Okay. Kanon. I like the
obliterate him. I need that twink obliterated.
So true. I need that twink thrown against the wall.
Yeah, like he cannot even lift a fucking dirt bag. Battler has to swoop in and be his hero. That was a cool moment.
Well, I think Kanon X Battler is real.
I think it was real. Battler is bi, I think.
Yeah, real.
Kanon possibly too.
Yeah. I mean, I like Kanon a lot. He's a little bit of an asshole.
The furniture thing is a bit. It's
a little bit too heavy-handed.
Yeah.
He just kind of keeps going for it. But I like him. I don't know. He gives me cool vibes. He always especially when he confronts what he thinks to be Beatrice.
In the boiler room.
Yeah,
his last scene is really good.
Yeah. When me and Reuel played the first episode, we had a character tier list on the second screen, and we would move characters around. And I remember when that scene happened, I remember Kanon just skyrocketing up. I was like, holy shit, he's so cool. That's so awesome. But yeah, I like Kanon a lot. He's neat. I like his design a lot too. I say that a lot about these characters, but they really do have really cool designs.
Rikishi, really. The Rikishi sprites are really good. Mm-hmm. He did a great job of designing and characterizing these people.
Yeah. Kraus.
The funny
Mr.
NFT
Funny
man.
NFT man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yay!
I think this is the coolest he gets with the siblings arguing. He has that really cool moment of turning it around. They give him all these conditions and stuff, and then he just completely reverses the situation on them, pointing out how they need his money.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool too because most of the episode, and honestly, let's just say most of the episode, presents Kraus as this little like bumbling idiot businessman. Like he
No, I would say the opposite. Like,
really,
from what we hear from the siblings, he's like pretty scary. And then we meet him, and he's just a guy. And then like their discussion starts, and they just start laying into him. I was like, when I was reading, I was just surprised that this is the guy that they were afraid of. And then he like showed his true colors.
I just mean like in that discussion when they were talking to him, they mentioned a lot of his flaws and a lot of his mistakes that he made recently. And it feels like really like he went really sloppy with it. But then right after that, he responds in such a powerful way that honestly, like, it's a little bit iconic, you know. In fear of calling a rich person iconic, I think it was pretty sick. But yeah, I like that Kraus is not just a one-dimensional kind of like, oh, you know how we call him funny NFT man. He actually does have.
He does have stuff.
He has like. He has a lot of insight, I think, into how the business side works. He just sometimes does not have the guts to really pull through.
Also, he shows us what a dysfunctional marriage is.
So true.
Like that scene when he shows Natsuki the gold ingot. That is fucked up.
See, what a nice segue. Natsuki.
Flop woman of the week. Every single week. Every single day of the week.
So true. I like Natsuki a lot.
She's really cool. And especially in this episode, she's the main focus out of all the adults.
I think so, yeah.
Of the siblings and their spouses, at least.
And she's great, to be honest. Like, this episode really warmed me up to her. Even though at the beginning I was a little bit mad at her, that she was like kind of bullying Shannon as well.
She's definitely like... she has problems. Please seek therapy. But I think like we can say that to almost every single character in this.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to mention, because like she bullies Shannon, but at the same time, every single character in this has their own flaws. So at that point, you just kind of lower the bar down a little bit. I like Natsuki a lot. I think she is. I think she's a really interesting character. I think she is a really interesting commentary on, first off, how patriarchal the Ushiramiya family is, and just how much, because she does so much work, and yet she's still considered to be one of the least important in the family members, just because A, she's not related by blood, and B, she's a woman, which is really sad. Which is especially shown in that scene where Eva kind of owns her.
Yeah.
Because she really does do a lot for the Ushiramiya family, and she respects Kinzo a lot, and she does a lot for Kraus, and kind of everyone around her does not take her seriously at all.
I mean, yeah, especially Eva.
Especially Eva, yeah.
Eva is just, I mean, you know, it's hot, I ship it, but...
Eva Natsu. Shoutouts to Eva Natsu.
Yes, shoutouts to Eva Natsu week that is ongoing as we were recording.
Oh, yeah.
Their dynamic is really good. Like after the first Twilight, when they're discussing, he has a fucking gun.
Iconic.
But even before that, we have a really cool scene with her that I don't see people talking about a lot. But it's her talking to Kinzo in the morning, like reporting. Before they find all the people dead from the first Twilight, like reporting to Kinzo that they're missing, and him telling her that she can wear even if she can't wear it on her clothes, she can wear the Ushiramiya eagle in her heart.
Oh, that is a really cute scene. I like that one.
Like it's really validating for her, because that's exactly what she like needed all her life, basically, to hear.
Yeah. Shoutouts to Funny Grandpa doing something nice for Natsuki.
For once, yeah.
for once. Let's move on to Shannon.
Yeah, that's your favorite, so I will let you speak.
love Shannon. I just think she's such a nice presence, to be honest. Every time she's around, she's just like, you know, she's kind of She's just kind of hanging out. She tries her best. Obviously she's a little bit clumsy, but still every time she's just. I like those characters that try their best, I guess. It's my kind of vibe. I'm like, I look at her, I want to give her a hug. She gets way too much shit in this episode. Also, there's this like really sick scene that I really like of her seeing the golden butterfly in the nighttime mansion. Yeah, it's so sick. I like that one a lot. Definitely my favorite parts of Shannon will come later, as we'll see, as we'll slowly progress through this little visual novel.
Again, in episode 1, she doesn't have much. First off, she dies in the first Twilight.
Yeah, sadly.
And like, she has a couple of scenes, but one of those scenes is that funny perverted battler scene. So
me. Yeah, it's not great.
She's not a big presence in this, which is I'm glad. Like we have more of her. Later. Oh, she has the scene with George. The scene with George, like him proposing to her.
Was this in episode 1?
Yes, she wore the ring. Remember?
Oh yeah, that was the context behind it. Yeah, it was in episode 1. For some reason, I always think it was in episode 2 first.
I think episode 2 was like way more expanded on, but that's spoilers.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. All right. Yeah. No, I like Shannon a lot. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of Shannon George. And this is definitely something we're gonna argue with about. But I feel like we should get into this during episode 2, I think, because that's their episode.
That's their episode.
Yeah.
Then we have everyone. No, we didn't.
Yeah, we have everyone. That's it.
Everyone. It took us a long time, but we're finally talked about everyone.
I mean, think about the fact that we just talked about the entire cast. Yeah. Besides, like...
Yeah, and this is set up for the future episodes.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll never need to talk about them again.
Let's get to what happened in the episode then.
Okay, well, we already talked about the inheritance scene a little bit. And it is pretty sick.
We should talk about, I guess, the painting.
Yeah, the painting.
Everything about that is just really good. Like the scene where Battler sees it for the first time. Then they talk about the epitaph. Yeah, we're showing the epitaph. They spent a bit too long, like talking about. Oh, but how much is? Was it 20 tons, right?
I think it was 20 tons. Yeah,
20
tons of gold.
How much is that in money? And how do you get that money? Like they talked, the scenes about that was a bit too long. But other than that, just the general like feel of the painting is great.
It's very grand. It's very imposing, I'd say. I like it. It really does feel like something very out of place, considering that it's a painting that is very focused on, and it's of a character we never see, only hear about. I think that's really cool. And again, this episode is so great at building Beatrice's presence. I think without this first episode, Beatrice wouldn't be as, I guess, explosive as she was when she first appeared in the tea party.
Yeah, I agree, definitely.
Because like you spend the entire episode learning about Beatrice,
hearing about her, and everything is about her, and then you finally see her in the tea party for the first time. You finally see her,
and like, holy burst, she's literally there. There's her sprite. That's the bitch from the painting.
Yeah, there is her voice and her sprite.
God, her voice is so cool.
Yes, shout outs to Saka O'Hara,
so based.
Amazing voice actress.
No, she's really good. I think it's time we touch on Rosa, to be honest.
It is. Rosa is. I'm just gonna say she is an abuser. She is a horrible person. But there is a but. She like perfectly shows the cycle of abuse. Or a specific version of it, at least, where the abuser feels bad for their actions. But just because...
But continues doing it?
Yeah, continues doing it just because, like, she feels bad and she apologizes to her does not undo the fact that she is hitting her own child.
Yeah, exactly. I I know that a lot of people say that like, oh, you should see beyond what she does to her daughter and see the humanity in her, and I do. I do see the humanity in Rosa. There is reasons why she does it, but I guess I don't really like for me, child abuse is a really large no.
Yeah.
So I immediately, when that scene at the Rose Garden happened, I was immediately so put off from her.
Yeah.
It's a really hard scene to watch, but I do think it's a really major part of episode 1 that I feel like, at least in most discussions that I've seen of it, is a little bit understated, because it's not like it happens right before the letter scene. The letter scene is awesome, but yeah, I just think like it really hits you with that like more darker tone. I think that's the first time Umineko gets really like uncomfortable and dark throughout the entire visual novel.
Yeah, I guess it kind of gets closer to that earlier with Eva and Natsuki, where Eva calls her a borrowed womb. That was fucked up. That was pretty dark.
Oh right, no, yeah, that's messed up.
She calls her a borrowed womb, and just whose sole purpose is to give birth to a successor.
Yeah, I mean that is messed up, but at the same time, I feel like it's not exactly like this kind of like insulting while horrible. It's not exactly on the same type of uncomfortable like feeling you get from watching a child get abused by her own mother.
Especially described in this way that Rikishi does, like very... he goes into the details a lot, and he does not shy away from how horrible it is and showing it.
Shoutouts to George being an absolute fucking prick in this one, by the way.
Like, anti-shoutouts, the opposite of shoutouts.
Yeah, the opposite of shoutouts. Like, what the fuck? They just
he goes like, oh... I'm sure Maria does not want us to see this. Let's just go. It's very, like, someone who's never been bullied / abused talking. Yeah.
Which is really funny because George, like, it is like a little bit explained later, but I will just say that he had a very, I'd say like a little bit of a tough childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really weird that he just go, oh, well, I bet she doesn't want to see us, unless he was speaking from an experience of like him, like
being humiliated in front of someone, maybe
humiliated in front of someone, yeah,
maybe.
Still, it's a really uncomfortable scene every time I watch it, but read it. At the same time, I will say that because it's so uncomfortable, I consider it incredibly well written. It's really good.
Yeah. Then after that we get to, I think, your favorite scene.
Yes, I love the letter scene. Just because this is the first time we really get to hear from Beatrice, even if not in her. Was it from with her voice, or was it just Maria reading?
First time we just hear Maria, and then the letter in Kinzo's study. Then we hear her voice for a little bit. Yeah.
So Beatrice is sick. I love this introduction to her. You can't really call it an introduction to her because we already had so many introductions to her. But like this confirmation, she's on the island. She's sending letters. She already met one of the characters off screen. And she's planning something. Yeah. She's telling us to solve the epitaph, which we got during the painting scene.
I really like how the siblings all think that this is someone's plan. Like Kraus thinks that it's the other's plan to scare him. They think that it's Kraus's plan to get them away from him. And then Maria is the only one who truly believes that a witch did it. And I guess the cousins, because they don't know any better.
I think the real key word here is distrust.
Yeah.
Like everyone is so on edge because of the inheritance thing that everyone just starts suspecting each other.
Mm-hmm.
which is really cool. And leads to the absolute tragedy that is the first episode. Another really cool thing that happens with the letter is that Maria is the one to read it out, and I like that she goes from her like kind of childlike behavior from the rest of the visual novel to like this very kind of mature, trying to imitate the witch type of vibe. When she reads out the letter, I really think it adds to the atmosphere while she does. And it's just a really cool scene. Also supplemented by the fact that it has one of my favorite tracks in the entire visual novel, and that is Fishy Aroma. I'm obsessed.
It is a really good track.
You will hear me like saying a lot of good things about Ganriki's work on Umineko, because he's one of my favorite composers in this entire game. Like, it feels like every single track he did is.
I mean, the entire
incredible.
OST is just amazing. We need to address
true,
that.
yeah.
Like,
That is true.
every single composer did an amazing job.
Yeah, a lot of episode 1 tracks are still a little bit slow. They are a little bit they set the atmosphere of the island really well, but you don't see a lot of straight up like trance bangers until like you get Golden Slaughterer.
Yeah,
which is really good.
But we'll get. I guess we can go there now.
Mm-hmm.
The first Twilight happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. It's I really like the detail of like, oh, their faces are disfigured, or like half disfigured. Yeah.
As someone who still remembers their first reading, I adore that little first Twilight scene, just because like when you first read it, it's a big shock. Like, holy shit, like almost half the cast just fucking died.
Yeah. and also finally something is happening.
Yeah, finally something is happening. Everyone is super distraught. Everyone is crying. Everyone.
Golden Slaughterer is playing.
Golden Slaughterer is playing, which is incredible. Like when it all hits the first time, I feel like that is where, yes, this is what you can call the proper start of Umineko proper. And I like it a lot. It's really cool. Definitely makes you feel for Battler, for example, who's pretty upset even about his.
Yeah, I really love his reaction.
Yeah.
And he says it like even though he said he hated his dad, he could. It's hard to hate your parent. Yeah. So it's he's still like just so horrible because of his dad. He wasn't. Even though he claimed he hated it. And also like Kiria dying, who he also was kind of close to.
Yeah.
And in general, Battler is a very empathetic protagonist, as I think like a lot of protagonists are.
Yeah,
because we the audience, they're the audience vessel, and we are supposed to like feel empathetic to those characters.
Battler's just a great character. I just again wish he wasn't as weird as he is in the beginning of the visual novel. But yeah, I like him a lot. First Twilight is great, and it's especially cool to see just how it rings out on the rest of the atmosphere in the episode. How everyone after it just is super distrustful. They start grouping up, kind of like not trying not to leave the group too much. It sets the tension.
That we already talked about, like the Eva and Natsuhi confrontation.
I
think it's really good. I love those CGs of Eva pointing with her little fan, and Natsuhi is pointing her gun.
Yeah,
at her.
It's pretty sick.
Like the tension goes super high, and then Battler is the one who relieves some of that by his fury.
Shoutouts to Battler being super based. That theory is really funny. Imagine Kinzo hiding under the bed.
Kinzo under the bed. I mean,
I think that's pretty.
Do you have a better idea of what he could have done?
Not really.
I don't.
To be honest. Yeah.
It's funny to think about.
He could jump out the window.
Yeah.
No, the window was closed, right?
Yeah, the window was closed.
Yeah. Okay. guy.
I mean, if he could like jump out the window, while no, it was closed. You're right.
Yeah. You can jump out the window and close it.
Close it on the outside.
No, but I'm pretty sure you can't close it on the outside.
Yeah,
That's
you
the thing.
cannot. That said.
Yeah.
There will
But
be
it's
more
insane that
about jumping out the window in the later episode.
Yeah. It's still the same mansion. We'll get these rooms a couple times. But yeah, really, really cool little explanation from Battler for that. Then we get the second Twilight, which is insane.
I like the scene before that. Like we get a little Eva and Hideyoshi
Oh yeah,
bonding moment. Where they're like, oh, we should go on vacation. which is kind of like weird to be saying when people around you are dying, but I guess people are stressed.
They're also rich.
Yeah, they're also rich.
So that changes some stuff.
But then they fucking die, and the visual of Hideyoshi pierced in the forehead in the bathtub.
Yeah, in the bathtub, so sick.
Really strong.
Like the console version really does well with the CGs for the second Twilight. It looks incredible. The stake that's used also, it's so
it is the spiral
so out
design.
of place and cool, like it's sick.
This is the moment where it like properly starts up. Like it's finally like we had a little bit of respite before the second Twilight, and afterwards we have just we are at breakneck speeds because they get a little letter, the third Twilight, praise my noble name, and then almost immediately they go out of the room and then they smell something.
Yeah.
And then Canon gets fucking owned.
Please remind me, because I feel like I remember something of like, as soon as they went into, as soon as they smelled that putrid smell, I was like, because we were sitting next to each other, I was like, oh no, because I immediately got that someone died.
But yeah, they was like, they decided to leave the room with Eva and Hideyoshi, and they like went to the hallway and it could immediately smell it.
Yeah.
So they look around, and then Canon finds it and gets killed in the process.
It's owned. It has one of the coolest scenes in the entire episode. Shoutouts. I already talked about it, but it's really sick. I like his
some golden butterflies and losing.
So he's fighting golden butterflies and he's losing.
He got breathed on, and like a little twig that he just fell over and died.
So true.
And we get Kinzo. Like they found Kinzo's corpse.
I mean,
I really
at first they don't even
detail.
recognize it.
Yeah, I love the detail that they recognize him from the additional toe.
Yeah, it's really sick. I like that a lot. Which, also totally makes sense to make him recognizable while still burning his body. I don't think if the culprit, aka Beatrice, obviously, threw anyone else into the fire, then you wouldn't be able to get who it was.
Yeah.
But because it was specifically Kinzo, you were like, hey, that's Kinzo because of the six toes.
The polydactyly.
After that, they do shut themselves in Kinzo's study, right?
That's my favorite scene.
Oh yeah, well, then talk about it.
They shut themselves in the study, and then they're finally like, okay, what the fuck's going on? And they start asking questions of Genji. And he tells them that Kinzo had a mistress, or might have had a mistress. And there's a little like somber moment when they think about, it's pretty sad that if he had a mistress and she died, he would mourn her the rest of his life. And how far it drew, made him go. And then the best part of the scene happens when they find a new letter inside of the study.
So true.
But who put it there? Sick. Natsuki has a little Joker moment. she points the gun at that the people inside, including small Maria,
Based.
which, like, yeah, she is acting very sus. Gotta say, she's not helping her case.
Yeah. Ultra sus.
It's a really cool, like, tension moment when the System Zero is playing. Sadly, no cool data sample from Star Trek because of copyright.
Well, we
But
can't
still.
have it all, right?
Yeah. It's a great scene of, like, the realization, oh yes, someone must have put it there.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
it slowly hits, it's great. With that
It
music
is
playing.
really cool. I like that scene a lot. Just to see Natsuki absolutely freak out, and like very understandably so. Like, holy burst.
Yeah. Also, they finally, after so many people dead, they finally realized, oh, this whole murder thing might be connected to this epitaph.
Oh my god, finally.
Like, I thought it was so obvious from the first Twilight where 6 people die.
Yeah.
But no, apparently it took them so long to think about it.
Right. No, it's kind of insane just how long it takes for everyone to like figure it out. Like, I think I mentioned this while we were playing that, like, holy shit, they really took their fucking time.
Yeah.
Like, it perfectly followed the epitaph's instructions. These people did think about the epitaph before, I'm sure of it. So it's really weird to see just the fact that they only recognize it at that very moment. But yeah, Natsuki kind of just gets a bunch of people out of the room, leaving only herself, Battler, Jessica, and Georgia, I think. Right? Yeah. After which comes another really sick scene where later on a little bit, they get a phone call from downstairs, and all they can hear is just like this distant singing from Maria.
It's really good.
Yeah, that scene bangs. I love it. I don't know. There's something so... Children are scary sometimes, specifically when you can't understand them. And I feel like that is the moment that is really like, that is the feeling that scene really plays on. Like, what is happening there? First off, what really bothers me about that specific scene is how, someone called and was, like, Battler picks up, but Maria does not. Like, Maria is far away from the phone. Who is just standing there listening to... who was phone?
But who was phone?
Who is listening there? Who's standing there listening to Maria's little song? You know?
Yeah.
I think that is the first thing that really like hit me, and I was like, oh shit, we gotta go save Maria. What the fuck? She's gonna die.
Like the whole singing is just great. The voice actress did an amazing job.
Yeah,
and like
really
it's how like quiet it is, and you have to like really listen it at the beginning to hear it. And then later, once they actually like get down, and then we hear it all, and then we have in the PS3 version at least, we get the amazing CG.
Oh, that CG
where
is
it
so
slowly
cool.
pans sideways as we see the full room full of blood, and then we see her.
Yeah, I feel like that is one of the most iconic images from Umineko in general.
I remember when I was reading it for the first time, I sent you that, and you were like, "Wait, what the fuck? That is so cool."
Yeah, no, I genuinely think that is an incredible CG. It looks awesome. But yeah, it turns out that fucking like a bunch of people died. It was Genji, Nanjo, and Kumasawa.
Genji, yeah.
Yeah, with the 6th, 7th, and the 8th Twilight, respectively. Holy Bursch. All of them are dead. Only Maria, Natsuki, Jessica, George, and Battler remain. We
didn't really get much time to like focus on this, because it was like immediately like we had to go to Maria, and she's fine, surprisingly.
And Maria's like fine, she's just kind of singing.
Yeah, she's like, oh, Beatrice asked me to sing.
Which is again wild that like Beatrice apparently was there and just fucking killed these 3 people. Magic! It's magic.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, do you have an explanation? I don't.
Nope, it's magic.
It's magic. And then, like, we don't, as I said, we don't have much time to focus on this because immediately Natsuki's missing.
Mm-hmm.
And we have her confrontation with Beatrice.
Yeah, which we are not shown outside of a little
we
letter
were
she
shown
gets.
how it ended, and
yeah.
it didn't end well for Natsuki.
That's a very apt description of it. It did not end well.
She got on with her own bullet.
Yeah. Well, flop woman of the day every day. What can I say?
and then we have the final scene. The clock strikes midnight, and we don't like. I remember when I first read it, I didn't really get it that much. But like on the reread, like it fully sunk in. Like there she is, Beatrice. She doesn't say anything. She just walks in front of them. Maria runs towards her, and then the episode ends.
So based.
So cool.
No, I love that scene. Like, my God, it's so cool to see the entire episode build up to Beato being a thing. And having her presence kind of hover over the entire cast, just to have her show up in the finale, not say anything, and then that's where it ends. Such a cool ending. I don't know, there's something so sick about it, and so memorable, which is especially funny because then you get the tea party.
Wait, before that though, speaking of memorable, you get the
ending
ending text scroll. That is like that. I did not expect that to happen, and it's kind of hard to get like for everything to sink in because it's moving so fast at the beginning, the first time through. But like it details everyone's deaths. It details the horrifying fact that like they found a piece of Maria's jaw.
Yeah,
in the ocean. That was
I
so
completely forgot
up.
about that. That's messed
and
up.
Then they find the message in the bottle that's signed by Maria. It's like it's a lot to process.
That is so much. I completely forgot about the jaw thing. That is so fucked up.
Yeah, like it said that they couldn't find any. The bodies of the cousins were never found, but they found eventually like a piece of Maria's jaw.
That's messed up. That's wild though. I don't know. I like that ending scroll a lot though.
Yeah. And the music playing in the background is this very like poignant, very grandiose song.
Yeah.
Like what a cool way to just like get a credits, basically a credits scroll summarizing everything that happened for you.
And after that, we get the tea party.
Which opens with the funny,
the funny fourth wall break.
Like, hey everyone, did you enjoy Umineko?
See, when I saw that, I immediately thought, oh, this is going to be like the Higurashi post.
Yeah, I did not play Higurashi before, but that's like, I also thought that it would be kind of that. Like, oh, they're just going to talk now.
Yeah, they're going to talk out of character. That's cute.
But it was better than that because they did talk about their unfortunate fates. And I love the moment where Battler's like, wait, everyone, have you stopped thinking? where he like flips, oh, this is not just funny, out of character talking. This is all in the canon happening right now.
Right.
And then
you get the star of the show herself.
The star of the show. Like, Battler is such a dumbass that she had to come out. She appears. The skeleton appears.
So true.
She's there. And she's a girl boss.
She's slaying, she's girl bossing. She's gaslighting, she's gatekeeping.
She is. she heard him talking shit. So she had to grow up.
And then Battler just continues to talk shit.
Yeah, she's like, well, yeah, really, magic doesn't exist. Well, how do you explain this? And he's like, I don't know, but just because I don't know doesn't mean it can't be explained.
When he's based.
And then we get another of my favorites. It's his like declaration of war, where my favorite song from the entire OST plays. That is Prison Strip.
Yeah,
is playing. He basically says that he will not accept her ever. He will deny her with everything he can, and she challenges him. And then we get like the actual credits with every voice actor, everyone who worked on it.
Yeah, and this is where we get our central conflict of the entire visual novel is them going at this insane war type thing, which I really love. I think as soon as I read that Tea Party specifically, I was like, yeah, I want to read the rest of this. Absolutely. I want to hear them argue about magic and not magic, you know? Just
It really sets up how the rest of the novel is gonna be.
Yeah.
Because, episode 1 is sorely missing the discussions. Like, the characters discuss between themselves, but, none of them is, like, purely arguing for the magic side.
Yeah. They're more so trying to figure it out like a mystery.
Yeah.
When it is definitely there, magic plays a big role in Umineko, I think.
Yeah.
So from this point onwards, I think the discussions will get way more interesting, as you guys will see, the ones that have not played through Umineko. But after Tea Party, after the first Tea Party, we get the Witches' Tea Party, where we get a really interesting character.
Okay, my experience with her was vastly different than I think most people, because I have not watched or read Higurashi when I started Umineko.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, she was just this. I knew about Rika, but I only knew like the Nipa thing. And that she's one of the characters in Higurashi. So to me, it was just interesting.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool, she's in here now. What is she doing here? What does this mean? But I think for you, it was much more meaningful.
Oh yeah, no. I definitely don't remember as much. No. Wait. It's like this, because I just finished Higurashi after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you haven't finished yet when we read episode 1.
Yeah, I was like in the middle of episode 8 of Higurashi while we were reading Umineko episode 1. But yeah, no, it was wild to see Burn, because she's so different from Rika. But yeah. She's just really interesting. She kind of comes in, she encourages the whatever person is looking at it. Yeah, basically
like
the viewer.
It's kind of battler, but it's more so meant to encourage the viewer, the reader, to engage with this story, to not give up.
Right. Which is really cool.
Yeah,
I like her little role in this episode, even though like she only appears for a split second, considering the rest of the episode's length. But again, it hints at the scale of just how big Umineko will become. That it's not just this little family; it's just way more. I like that a lot. I think it's really sick.
Okay. Do you have any more spoilerless thoughts you want to share?
Honestly, I kind of don't. I will only say that episode 1 is my least favorite episode of Umineko. And I know we just spent like an entire let me check the recording time. Yeah, hour and a half praising the hell out of it, but it literally is my least favorite, because I feel like Umineko gets so much better.
I think it's necessary setup.
Yeah, no, definitely. I wouldn't get it out of Umineko.
You can't like remove it from Umineko. And one big thing is reading Umineko is the length. Everyone's scared of the length of it. But it's as we know, and hopefully people who have finished it and are listening know, it's really worth it. So if you're one of the people who is just reading through it and is still kind of hesitant if they liked it or not after episode 1, give episode 2 a go. It's definitely, it still has some elements from episode 1 that might be considered boring, but it definitely has a ton of just more exciting content, and it's finally like shows what Umineko truly is.
Yeah, because it's like because if you won't enjoy episode 2, I feel like you won't enjoy Umineko as a whole. But if you do enjoy it, then welcome to the ride. All right, so I guess that's it for the spoilerless section. Thank you to all the people that joined us for this. Now go play episode 2.
Go play episode 2. You have
pieces.
Nothing better to do. Don't sleep. Don't eat. Don't work.
Yeah,
Go read Umineko.
how about they do eat? No. How about
Okay,
they do eat?
maybe. No, they don't need to eat. Just drink water.
Just drink tea.
Exactly.
See?
Exactly. Like a true witch, you should drink tea.
Yeah. Definitely go, because right now this is your major spoiler warning. We're gonna go into like who the culprit is. Is it magic? Is it mystery?
If you haven't read it, do not listen.
Yes.
Anymore. Stop the video, quit out. I mean it.
Right now. And I'm giving you a 5-second countdown. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The butler did it.
Butler did it. Finally, those people are out. Jeez.
Oh my god, so true. Welcome to the after show.
Welcome to the real thing, where we finally can stop ourselves from not screaming about Yasu at every single step.
So true. My god, I'm so brain rotten. I love
Imagine
Yasu.
having to pretend that episode 1 is boring and has meaningless scenes where like Yasu is right there, and it makes every single scene better. Even the weird battler's horny scene is so much better when you know about Yasu and like how much more horrible it was for her to experience that.
God. I will say this, by the way, a little bit of a preamble for everyone listening. I use Yasu and Sayo interchangeably.
Same.
Okay, so just so everyone knows. So when I'm talking about Sayo, I'm not talking about Shannon.
Yeah, Shannon is Shannon, Kanon is Kanon. Yasu and Sayo are like the everything, and then Bata, I guess, is also.
They are. She is everything, though.
She is everything. They are everything.
So true, real. But yeah, I'm so brain rotten about Sayo. She's so sick. But yeah, anyways, really, really cool stuff in episode 1 once you finished the entire VN, or at least like have most of it down. I like that scene a lot where when Shannon and Kanon talk right outside the what was it, like the guest parlor or whatever?
Yeah. Just the parlor after they served the tea.
Yeah, it's super sick.
Yeah, like looking back on all the scenes where these two are talking, it's just so interesting.
Yeah, because
and
it completely
every single Kinzo scene
everything.
too, because
yeah,
Kinzo's fucking dead. So
which makes the Natsuhi scene is so funny, because she just literally
it's
plays
so
like
tragic.
Yeah.
she basically has a talk with herself.
Yeah.
And I still think it's a great scene. I think it's even a better scene now.
No, definitely.
But yeah,
definitely.
Kinzo would never.
Kinzo would never. Kinzo is such
would never
a
say that
horrible
to
shit
her.
ass.
But yeah, like I want to say every single scene with Shannon and Kanon, and then every single Kinzo scene, because Kinzo in his scenes keeps talking about the roulette and leaving it up to fate. And after finishing episode 7 with what Claire said, we know like what it truly means.
Yeah.
That this is Yasu's thoughts about hoping that someone would stop her.
God, is just, I love Umineko. What the fuck?
What the hell?
What the hell? Okay. But yeah, Kinzo is fucking dead, and this is something actually I wanted to bring up because this is very interesting, and I don't think we ever talked about this together. The fact that Kinzo's body does appear and gets burned, right? Did they just keep that body around? Wouldn't it start decomposing? Wasn't he like dead for like a year?
He's been dead for 2 years.
2 years.
Because the scene where Yasu solves the epitaph happens in 1984.
Ah.
11th.
He just dies in front of her.
29th of November.
Yeah. He just dies in front of her. It's so fucked up.
Does. The whole scene is fucked up. But
I mean, yeah. We'll talk about it more during episode 7, but holy shit. Poor Yasu.
Poor Yasu. Yeah, but yeah, I think like either is his corpse that they refrigerated, or is a fake corpse, like, and because it's Genji who points out like, oh yeah, the corpse has 6 fingers, 6 toes. I mean, So he was probably like Yasu told him to do that.
Yeah, also
Like
a
to
lot of the
point it out.
time it's hinted at in Umineko that the magic that happens is usually like metaphorical for just the amount of money that the Yoshirimiya family possess. That's basically making almost everything possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely I think that could be engineered as in like, you know, just a simple, like as grim as it sounds, a trip to the morgue and enough money to buy a body, you know?
Yeah.
Which is really grim, but it's still really interesting to see. But considering how meticulously Sayo must have planned all of these, you know, all of these like little
all the different scenarios. Yeah.
all the ways to kill the Yoshirimiya family, basically. I think it's really interesting to think about.
Speaking of Genji,
Yeah.
can finally get into this. The rat bastard. Look. He's lying so much in this.
He's
constantly
lying
saying
through
like,
his
"Oh, I
teeth.
don't know. I do not know anything about any mistress." And then finally, like, he admits to knowing about a mistress. And then they specifically ask him, "Oh, but maybe there was a child or something," and he just denies it. He just says, "Nope, there was no child."
I hate him.
We just know that it's just not true. It's not. There
So
wasn't
true.
one child. There were two of them. Oh
Messed
my
up.
god. But yeah.
Yeah.
Kanon's scene is also way better now. It was really
Yeah.
cool, but now as it is like him rebelling against the witch basically. Like the Kanon side of Yasu fighting for survival
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately being sacrificed.
Yeah.
Like we really
I also-
see the it's not never really like addressed, but we know that Yasu, like in general, and Claire has decided to delegate her fate. But we don't know like how Kanon and Shan specifically, if they accept that or not.
Mm-hmm.
Kanon seems to not be happy about it at all.
Right.
That he has a chance to die and most likely will die.
Yeah. But I do think that it's really interesting how different the sides of Sayo are.
Yeah. Yeah, now like everything, the scene of him meeting Battler,
Mhm.
it's really cool because it's something that Yasu did not plan for, most likely.
Yeah.
Just doing, Khan was just doing his orders, his servant things, and then he saw Battler for the first time in 6 years.
Yeah. No, that's so sick. God, I love this game. Another really cool thing is that the reveal that Sayo is both Kanon and Shannon and Beata really, like, you suddenly understand how the fuck the second Twilight happened.
Exactly, like this is
That's
one of
so
the
sick.
hardest locked rooms.
Yeah, and it turns out that it was never a locked room to begin with.
Yeah.
That is so sick. God, I love stories with unreliable narrators.
I gotta say, this is. You talked about this. You're a George Shannon hater. But
Yeah, I am.
I like it. No, I don't like them as a ship, but I like because of everything Sayo related and how just painful it is. How
You like
George,
the angst?
Yeah, I like the angst of it.
Mm-hmm.
George, confessing to her, and she knew that. She knew that beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was manga said that she knew that he would confess to her.
Yeah.
Like propose to her, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And yet she's still like, we don't know if it was I think it was a fake corpse in the end. The one in the first Twilight of Shannon.
I feel like it would be a fake corpse, yeah. Because no one else really dies in that moment.
Yeah,
Again,
I don't remember
like
if
a trip
Kanon
to the
is there.
morgue.
Yeah. But like if it is a fake corpse or if it is her pretending she has the ring on,
Mm-hmm.
so
And I don't think she could just lay there and pretend when half of her face
No,
is
she
just
could.
owned.
She could because, like, we don't see her. She's the only one we don't see. She's like described to be off to the side. The only person who can see her is Eva and Hideyoshi. In episode 7, Will says like, illusions to illusions scene. After he finishes everything from episode 1, he says, like, this was a huge gamble. If only he took another step closer, he could have seen your face and he would have known. And Claire says, like, this is what it means to delegate your fate.
So sick.
So,
God, I fucking love episode 7.
So we don't know if this shows that maybe possibly Eva and Hideyoshi were collaborating with Yasu.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would make a lot of sense with what they're talking about afterwards. Like, if someone's dying and they're talking about a vacation.
Vacation, yeah.
When they're
because they're
financial
getting,
trouble.
Money. Yeah.
Like, obviously they've been paid, promised that nothing would happen to them, to George, and they would get the money that they needed. So now they're just like trying to cope with the fact that they agreed to this, and they're thinking about what to do afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's why like Hideyoshi was obscuring it and just told George that it's Shannon and didn't show it to him.
Mm-hmm. And it would be perfect also for Eva's plans for George.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the fact that he was kind of going out with Shannon was like a big problem.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. Man, it's really interesting to look at episode 1 through the lens of like
every single episode, I think, from the
especially
from the questions arc.
Mm-hmm. I just mean like it's kind of cool to look at episode 1 specifically because it's so different from the rest of the episodes in Umineko.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because where's episode 1? Where is the meta?
Where is the meta? So true. What a nice segue. It's really interesting because as we now know, pretty much, episode 1 was already Beatrice and Battler gaming. They were gaming.
It's kind of weirdly described that Battler technically like awakes after episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
But like we're told that the Golden Witch created countless different possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming that the different like versions of October 4th and 5th were happening over and over until at some point Battler like realized, or I guess finally decided to stand up and against it, deny it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
right.
But the meta is, Umineko had to start somewhere. As we said, like it has some leftovers from Higurashi still. It was very much this in-between period between what Higurashi is doing with like barely any meta stuff.
Yeah.
And full-on meta that will be episode 2.
Yeah. Which is a really interesting jump. But I remember as soon as meta showed up in episode 2, I was really hype about it, which I will once again mention once.
We will get there, but
we'll get
first scene where we like the red truths when they are introduced.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
So sick. But it's also really funny to see Bern Castell of all people cheering on a battler / the reader at the very beginning of the story, considering what she later becomes.
She's the villain at the end.
Right. And it's so funny because like at the very beginning you think of her as your ally, because first off, Rika, and second off, she you have no reason to distrust her really. She comes in, she tells you not to give up, and she's based. But afterwards, you like at around episode 5, you find out that she's a massive fucking bitch. Actually,
I mean, I think.
Sorry. I need to use Bern Castell positive language. She's a girl boss.
She's a girl boss.
She is a girl boss.
time travel girl boss of all time.
So true.
But yeah, it's interesting like how we see Burn first and we don't see Lambda until later.
Yeah.
But Burn like already seems to be conscious of the fact that this is Lambda's game board.
It's not Lambda's game board.
I mean, it's Beatrice's, but Lambda is the sponsor, which she basically granted Beatrice powers to create this game board. So it's basically Lambda's game board.
I guess so. I guess you can.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, as in Lambda orchestrated this game board happening and wanted Burn to come in here.
Yeah.
So it's interesting seeing that, like, when Beat is just exchanging formalities with Burn Castle and talking mad shit of like, oh yeah, you beat Great Lambda Delta, the strongest witch in existence, but the Burn is like, oh, you could beat me probably, your power is strong against mine.
By the way, it's really funny that they call Lambda Delta the strongest witch in existence, and then Federina
is just there. So true.
So true.
We just didn't plan that far enough.
Right. I like Lambda a lot. We'll get to her.
We'll get to her.
But you know me. I'm a big Lambda fan.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we wanted to talk about Rudolph. We didn't talk about it in the spoilerless version, but it's interesting how the revelation that Rudolph has something to say, and that like we later only in episode 8 we learned that it's who's Battler's mother really.
Mm-hmm.
But still interesting, like, what was Rikishi, what did he mean by this? Like, Rudolph says, oh, I'm gonna be killed. It's really, like, misdirection at its finest.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Because he says that, oh, I'm gonna be killed, and then people actually are killed. So you're thinking about, oh, it has to be something connected to this, but he was just being hyperbolic.
I love him. That little garbage man.
Yeah. But we will get to Rudolph's crimes against humanity later.
Against humanity. So true. I keep calling him a little flop, but he is a horrible person, like every single other Shinomiya person, like every other Shinomiya family member. Yeah.
This episode was good. I do agree that it's probably the weakest one, but only because the other ones are just so good.
They're so incredible. And yeah, Umineko just keeps climbing. I think everyone
keeps getting better.
But I mean, I think that is all for episode 1.
Thank you everyone for listening to us ramble about this game. It's been a lot of fun for us.
Oh yeah. It's great to get all these thoughts out and ruminate on one of our favorite things of all time.
Yeah. Thank you for everyone that made it this far.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, massive thank you. This is a pilot episode. We're still probably a little bit out of it. We didn't get our groove on. But honestly, I've had a great time.
Promise the future ones will be better.
I won't promise anything.
Okay. I can say with absolute certainty that the future one, or at least one episode in the future, is going to be better than this one.
So true.
That's all I can say.
So true. But yeah. Thank you for everyone. Thank you for everyone's time. Thank you for listening.
Hope you listen to the next one when that comes out.
True. We'll be awaiting you. Until next time, our honored guests.
Bye-bye.
Bye.